Live Saturday, September 9th. Classic Championship Wrestling, Valor Pro Wrestling, Seven Mountains Wrestling, and Pennsylvania Championship Wrestling Alliance United presents Battle at the Bridge at the old Bishop McDivitt High School, 2200 Market Street, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The special guest, Enzo, Marty Skrull, Flip Gordon. Front row is already completely sold out. Second row is $20. General admission just $10. Meet and greet is at 5 p.m. Bell time is 6 p.m. For tickets, 717-379-4599 or 570-933-0370. You can also pick them up at the bridge at 2200 Market Street, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. You don't want to miss the hottest territory in Pennsylvania. United!
Welcome, everybody, 3 Beards of Wrestling Podcast. I don't know why you're so big.
I love it. I don't know. I feel special. Like, I'm so large.
Yeah. Hey, happens once in a lifetime, I guess.
Sometimes.
We started a little bit early today, but that's all right because it's an early night for everyone.
It is an early night for everyone. But it's a reason why it's an early night, and it's a very special night.
I think because we have a villain, isn't that right?
We do. We have, ladies and gentlemen, the leader of the Villain Club with us tonight, Mr. Marty Skrull.
Hell yeah. A quick little business before we jump into Marty. This weekend, PCWA, where I take on Rob Noxious and Joey P. in Schuylkill Haven, PA. Front row is sold out. If you guys need tickets, hit us up. Me, Rob, Adrian, and we'll get you guys that info. Next up, Friday, August 18th in Lewistown, where Jack Vaughn will be there, and there is a match for the Sky High title. And then the following night in Lebanon, if you guys need tickets for all that, tickets are on sale. So hit us up, hit Rob up, and just don't miss the show, I guess.
Please don't miss the show. Why would you?
Next up, the biggest show of the year, September 9th at the old Bishop McDivitt High School, where Enzo will be there, Flip Gordon, and our guest tonight will be there. Again, tickets are on sale for that show now. Front row is already sold out. So if you guys need tickets for that, again, hit Rob Noxious, Adrian, me up, or my mom, if you guys know my mom's name, Kathy, on Facebook. Or if you guys need info, go on there too and, get your tickets. Adrian, you want to bring our guest on?
Again, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very special night. We have Mr. Marty Skrull with us this evening. Welcome in, sir.
Hello. Now I'm the big one. I like this.
Yeah, you're definitely a big one. You're definitely a big one.
Welcome. Thank you for coming on. It's definitely a pleasure to have you on.
Well, thank you for having me. So this is called the 3 Beards podcast.
Yes.
I'm counting 3 beards now. Where's the fourth?
Yeah.
Normally we have 3. but the one couldn't make it tonight. So
Oh, boo! So I'm replacing him then.
yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
It's all good. It's all good.
You've been full bearded. You've been full
There we
bearded.
go.
That's what happened.
It still makes sense. It's still 3 beards. People won't be disappointed.
All
Definitely.
right. Again, guys, if you guys got any questions for Marty, me, Adrian, or all of us, I mean, ask them and we'll answer them as we go. We can talk a little bit about your podcast now if you want.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I guess we're on a podcast right now, so
Right.
everyone's doing it, and I'm much the same, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, started a podcast a little under a month ago called "Chilling with the Villain." Seems very appropriate. And basically, myself and my producer of the show, Sam, we watch classic wrestling, and then we go on the show. We basically review the show. But the different spin is, obviously, I'm a massive wrestling fan, but I've also been wrestling for 20 years. So I've been in the industry and been all over the world and done a lot of things, met a lot of people. Whereas Sam, my producer, also my co-host, he's a very casual fan of wrestling. He used to watch wrestling when he was younger, but now doesn't. So I'm basically trying to get him back into wrestling, or basically a lot of these shows he's never seen before. So I'm getting his sort of perception from him for watching it for the first time. Like I said, he's very much a casual fan. So I like the idea of like a wrestling expert, if I call it myself that, and then a complete casual fan. Because I'm always interested in casual fans' points of view when it comes to wrestling, or their views. Like if I see something and I'm not sure about it, I'll ask my mum, for example, what she thinks. If you ask a hardcore wrestling fan, chances are you're going to get very similar views. Whereas you ask a casual fan, what they say can be completely out of left field and just completely different. It's something you may never thought of before, because we're so in the bubble being in the wrestling industry. So I want to hear about people's opinions outside of the wrestling industry. So yeah, we do the podcast every week on a Monday. It's a lot of fun. Originally, I was going to have get someone else to kind of do all the stuff for me. But then I decided, you know what? This is a really good time for me to try and learn skills. So now I've been kind of taking it all aboard myself, well, along with my producer. But, I'm making the videos, I'm making the reels, I'm doing the graphics, I'm working out the sound, I'm doing all this stuff. So I'm gaining all these new skills at the same time. But it's a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. So hopefully I haven't bit off more than I can chew. Obviously, you guys know doing a podcast, it's a lot of work. But so far, so good. So far, really enjoying it. So far, the response has been tremendous. So yeah, I think it's going really well, and I'm just happy I can kind of connect with my fans every week. If they can't come see me wrestle, then they can listen to me on the podcast, and they get that Marty fix once a week. So if you're not a fan of me, that's no problem, but you still might enjoy the show because we go back and we review all the classic shows. So I think if you're just a wrestling fan, especially a fan of yesteryear of wrestling, then I think you'll really enjoy the show. So give it a listen, give it a chance. That's all I'm asking for.
It's just a simple chance. That's it. Just a simple chance.
Zachary, am I ready for my match this weekend? I'm ready to kick some old people's asses.
So, Marty, I gotta ask, what has been your favorite match to review so far during this podcast?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, our last show was WCW Thunder, the episode where David Arquette wins the world title, and this is like the height of Russo booking. So
yeah,
all the matches on there are pretty much non-matches, so it can't be anything from that, I'm sure. Other than that, we did Survivor Series 2002, which is a really, really amazing show from top to bottom. And on there, the first Elimination Chamber match is really excellent. So maybe that has been one of the highlights so far. The very first episode we did, again, was the first Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania 14. So obviously, when you're reviewing TV shows, it's kind of less about the matches. And we try not to, we're not doing like a play-by-play on the matches either. We're kind of talking about what's going on and the nuances and everything else. So, yeah, but maybe that first Elimination Chamber match on Survivor Series 2002, that was a hell of a show. So, and the thing is, when the show is so good, it's kind of not more difficult to review, but maybe not as fun. You're kind of like Oh, this match happened. That was good. What did you think? That was great. Okay. Then this match happened. How was that? It was good. So we did that one, and I thought, you know what? We need to flip this. I know. Let's go to WCW year 2000 with Vince Russo as the booker and flip the script.
It's kind of like you watch a really good match, and instead of being able to review it, you get sucked in. And you're like, oh wait, yeah, that was good, and you just get zoned into the match. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm finding myself like if I watch a show, because you writing notes on it obviously can be very distracting, so it does take up a lot of time. Because what I like to do in an ideal world is watch the show once, just fully concentrating, and then watch it again whilst writing notes. So it's a lot of work. But I'm doing it for the entertainment of the people. Not getting paid for this. Nothing like that. Just doing it. I mean, I'm a massive fan of wrestling, so you don't have to pull my arm to watch wrestling, obviously. So
yeah. So let's go back to what you said a couple minutes ago, where you wrestled all over the world. What are some places that like are your favorite places to go and wrestle?
That's a good question. I mean, what sticks out straight away is probably Japan. I spent a lot of time in Japan, obviously just working for New Japan, but over there, I love the country. I love the culture. I love the food, and I just love the professionalism of the company. It's just so well organized. The fans are just really super duper respectful. They treat it like a sport. They treat you like a celebrity. You really feel like a real wrestler in Japan, So
yeah,
Japan sticks out, but I've been to so many different places and so many cool countries. Australia, I really enjoy. Recently, I've been in Mexico a lot, and they're all completely different, So, but yeah, I've been very fortunate to travel a whole bunch of different places. And what I've decided to do as I got older, where I was younger, I would go to a place and pretty much fly in, do all that travel there, check into a hotel, wrestle, done with, and fly out again. As I've got a little bit older, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to be wrestling forever, so maybe I should actually try and check out some stuff and check out the country and at least go get a fancy dinner somewhere or whatever it might be. So, no. Yeah, but like I said, top of my head, probably Japan, because that kind of ticks all the boxes.
Nice. Yeah, I would love to wrestle in Japan. That's
exactly.
If you get a chance to go to Japan, you should go for sure. It's an amazing country. Even if you just go to visit, I've been thinking about going on there for a vacation this year, just because I love the country so much. And every time I've been there, obviously I've checked out a lot of stuff, but most of the time it's just been like work, and the odd like day off here and there. But I'd like to be able to go there, let's say 2 weeks, and just fully enjoy it and experience it and just relax, So maybe this year, if not next.
I think it's very hard to be a wrestler and not want to go to Japan. It's like, to me, that's always been on like my bucket list, even before I got into wrestling. And like after I was like, I would love to eat the Tokyo Dome. Like that's the thing. Like you want to wrestle in the Tokyo Dome because they are very. It's like you said, they treat it like a sport. The fans are very traditional. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone's dream is to wrestle in Japan. I think a lot of people they just want to wrestle for WWE and that's it. And I think that's cool. That's great. But for me personally, I was the other way. I mean, maybe when I was super young, I really wanted to wrestle for WWE. But as I kind of grew older, I was like, oh no, Japan's where I want to be. That was the sort of wrestling that I was a fan of. So it was always a dream of mine to go to Japan. So going there for the first time was incredible. So, but I would definitely recommend to any wrestler, if they get the opportunity to wrestle in Japan, just to take it. I think someone said to me a while ago, they said, oh, I've got an offer to go to Japan for 3 months. Should I do it? And I'm like, yes. I was like, you might go crazy being there for 3 months, but you should 100% go. So I would definitely recommend it. Like I said, I'd recommend anyone go. People that are listening now that aren't wrestlers, I'd recommend going on vacation, because I think not a lot of people think about going to Japan for a vacation, but I'm telling you, you'll love it. Go, please.
Right.
Deb asked, Marty, is there any spot you would never do or a bump you'd never take?
Oh, we haven't got all night, have we? Blimey. There's a laundry list of things. I'm out there to entertain the people, and most importantly, look after my opponent and look after myself. I'm not saying I'm a coward or anything else, but I'm a big believer in work smarter, not harder. There's no need to go out there and kill yourself just to get a pop or anything else. We're there to entertain, you know. And obviously, wrestling is very physical. It's already very dangerous. So I don't feel like I need to be doing extra dangerous stuff to get a reaction. All my favorite wrestlers of all time never did all this crazy dangerous stuff that you see a lot of times now. So I didn't see Bret Hart doing it. I didn't see Stone Cold Steve Austin doing it. I didn't see The Rock doing it, and so on, or Ric Flair, whoever it might be. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. The question was what bumps, and yeah, I don't want to take bumps on outside the ring, you know. Like I see, so I can't. I don't want to sound like I'm whining, but you see so much of wrestling now, and every match the guys are going to the floor. They're going to the floor, and I'm thinking, guys, you have a 20 by 20 platform that the whole arena is pointing towards, and spotlights are on. You have that space to perform, and you want to go onto the floor. It just doesn't make sense to me whatsoever.
Right.
So yeah, just stuff like that. Landing on my head. I've already got a bad neck just from wrestling, you know, so I don't want to be dumped on my head, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm a big believer in working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, definitely. So you touched on your favorite wrestlers. Who might those be?
Kind of changes a lot. I guess my ultimate number one is probably Bret Hart.
Okay.
I've been singing Bret's praises for years, and I feel like recently it's become a thing where everyone's saying that their favorite wrestler is Bret Hart. So I feel like I'm just kind of joining everyone. But I've been saying that for years. I actually got a chance to work with Bret many years ago, twice on two separate occasions. Bret was like the special guest, not ringing out, sir. Maybe enforcer or guest of honor.
Mm-hmm.
Both times after my match, got a bit mouthy with Bret, and he put me in the sharpshooter. So as much as I would have liked to have put him in the crossface chicken wing, it was still a dream come true to be put in the sharpshooter. So that was really cool. But other than Bret, I'd say Terry Funk, another guy, Rey Mysterio, massive Rey Mysterio fan. Roddy Piper, there's a whole load. Eddie Guerrero, yeah. Steve Austin. There's so many. I could be here all day, but those guys kind of stick out to me.
Nice. So we kind of got like two questions kind of back to back that are basically the same. But this is for all of us. What is your dream match and who is it with? And then same thing. If you can wrestle anyone dead or alive, who would it be? Of course, mine would be Eddie Guerrero.
Same.
Oh man, these are great questions. So, what was the first one? Sorry, who what would my dream match be?
Yeah, your dream match. Who would it be with?
This is a great question. So I realize this is a podcast. I should probably give an answer already. You should have given me the heads up on these questions.
You're right.
There's a lot of guys out there. There's a lot of guys out there right now I'd like to wrestle. Randy Orton, I've always been a massive fan of. For me, he's one of the best wrestlers in the business. Roman Reigns, obviously, is on fire now. Dominic Mysterio, I'd really love to have a wrestling match with. Darby Allin. Matt Cardona is doing great things on the indies. A good friend of mine. Never had a chance to cross paths with him. Alex Shelley is another guy that, for whatever reason, I've wrestled pretty much everyone out there, but never had a chance to wrestle with Alex Shelley. And we were supposed to wrestle each other before the pandemic, and then that came along and ruined everything. So there's loads of guys that I would just love to get in the ring with. But I guess if it's of all time, it's probably got to be Bret Hart or Eddie Guerrero. Rey Mysterio actually wrestled a whole bunch, so that was like a dream match come true. That was absolutely amazing, and it was just as amazing as I would have hoped and dreamt for as well. So,
did you mark out a little bit when you wrestled him? Like, was it like?
Every time. No, every time. every time. But it's funny with Ray because I wrestled him in England. I wrestled him in Japan. I think I did something like an angle with him in the States, and this is before Dominic wrestled, and but Dominic would turn up from time to time. But Ray would always tell me, "Oh, my son's a big fan of yours. Can I get some T-shirts?" And whatnot. I was like, "Yeah, yeah." So I used to always give Ray villain T-shirts, and he was giving them to Dominic. And obviously now watching Dominic sort of debut and go on to do what he's done and just become one of the hottest wrestlers in the business now, it's really cool to see. Really, really cool. So very proud of him. And yeah, I'd love the chance to get in there and wrestle him. But there's loads of guys.
Nice.
So kind of going back to the traveling. So is it difficult to kind of adapt to the different like wrestling styles there are in like different countries and stuff?
Yes and no. I mean, the American style, obviously, done that for many years, and the European style, British style, is what I kind of came up in. Japan is a little different, but it's more different from maybe like a psychology standpoint. So that took a little, taking time to adapt to. I'd probably say Mexico is probably the most difficult to kind of master, and I'm still kind of getting my feet wet with that. It's just a whole different entity, just completely different from what I'm used to and everything else. And nothing's right and nothing's wrong. There's no right style or wrong style. It's just different for different cultures. So what works in the States or works in Japan or whatever it might be might not work in Mexico, and vice versa. So it's just kind of mastering that. And you go around doing your thing, all these different places, and you go somewhere and it's like, oh, this is not going to cut the mustard here. That's pretty alarming, especially when you've been doing this as long as I have. So I think that's why I love going to Mexico so much, because it's like a challenge for me. And I think some wrestlers would just discredit it and be like, oh, I don't like that. And, oh, that's not what I do. It's like, okay, well, I want to be an all-rounder. I want to be able to go everywhere and be a big star and entertain. So rather than just kind of brushing it off, I'm like, no, let me jump in, let me jump in head first. So, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm going to start doing head scissors and hurricanranas and stuff, but there's more to the style. To see. Yeah, I mean, I can do it, but that's not what the villain does. So it's more from like a psychology standpoint, I'd say.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'd say that's probably the most difficult one for me right now, until I master it, of course, and conquer Mexico.
Jessica asked, do you have any matches that you had an opportunity to do or regret not doing them?
Any matches that I regret not doing?
Yeah.
That you've had the opportunity to do, but had to turn it down for one reason or another and regret?
Yeah, there probably is. Like I said, like I would have really liked the chance to wrestle with Alex Shelley, and that got cancelled because of the pandemic. So that wasn't really one that I turned down. I'm sure, I think at one point years and years ago, I was supposed to wrestle Scotty 2 Hotty, and I was really excited for that. And then that, for whatever reason, didn't happen. But other than that, I can't really think off the top of my head. Again, I need to be preloaded with these questions. My brain isn't what it used to be. My memory's terrible. So
headshot to do that, man. Headshot to do that. It happens.
The wrestling business.
Yeah, for sure.
Has there been a time throughout your career where you just kind of been able to look around and be amazed that you're able to do this, especially being 20 years into the business?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's important to think that all the time. As I've got older, I feel like I've got much better at practicing gratitude and just trying to enjoy kind of every moment, even the long travel, which I hate, like if I'm, flights are delayed or the airline loses your luggage, any of these things. And it's just kind of like, sometimes it can build up and it could just be like, but as I've got older, I always think, okay, like it could be worse. Like, yeah, I'm here in an airport and it's all I want to do is get home or get to the show, but I could be working a 9 to 5 job that I hate. Do you know what I mean? So I always try to bear that in mind constantly. Because when I was younger, like much younger, I had jobs that I hated. And that, like the generation before me, like my mom and dad, for example, I think that was very much their sort of mentality. Like, grow up, get a secure job, work, and try and save enough money to exist, and it doesn't matter if you like the job or not. Whereas I was kind of like, that doesn't make sense. They're like, oh, you should be a plumber. I was like, but I don't like plumbing. They're like, well,
Right.
that doesn't matter. Like, it's a good, secure job. I'm like, I want to do what I want to do, You know what they say, like, if you do something you love, then you never work a day in your life. So, but yeah, many a times I always try to, whether it's a massive show or a small show, I always try to sort of practice gratitude that I get to do this, that I get the chance to entertain people, and I get the chance to hopefully, you know, inspire someone or wherever it might be. So, there's been a lot of times when I've done some really amazing stuff, like wrestling at Madison Square Garden or Tokyo Dome or the first All In, all these sort of amazing moments in my career. And I think at the time you're just so in the moment, you don't really get a chance to kind of to do that, kind of be like, wow, this is awesome. But I think as I've got older, I can look back and sort of practice a lot of gratitude and realize, how sort of fortunate and lucky I am to be able to have experienced those things. So yeah, I try to do it a lot.
Nice. So if you had to give any advice to I don't want to say greener, but newer people into the business or somebody that's wanting to wrestle, what would that advice be?
Um, I mean, there's all the generic stuff, like find a good, reputable wrestling school and get yourself in shape, all that kind of stuff. Which, sorry, too much Diet Coke, or Diet Dr Pepper actually. There's all that stuff which you don't really need me to say. My best advice, which kind of took me a long time to understand, was like, for me, I think it's so important just to try and be different from everybody else. If you want to get noticed, if you want to get to the next level, you've got to offer something different. And so regularly, I watch wrestling. I watch wrestling all the time, whether it's shows that I'm on or shows on TV. And I see a lot of people doing the same thing, whether it's the same moves or the same taunts or they look the same. Whereas I feel like I was able to stand out and make a good career for myself by flipping the script on its head and just being completely different to everyone else. Like I can't be as good as high flyer as Nick Jackson or Phoenix or Ricochet. I can't be as good looking as, I don't know, Austin Theory. I can't be as jacked as Brian Cage. All this stuff. But I'm like, okay, but what I can do is be the best Marty Scale. So I need to work out what Marty Scale is. So that's kind of my perception. Just got to be completely different from everyone else. Find what your unique selling point is and go with that. And it takes time. It takes I didn't really start getting the wrestling business to like 10 years into my career. And I remember reading the Road Warriors autobiography, and they said about when they started wrestling, they really wanted to stand out. So, and they're already big jacked guys, but they, shaved their heads with funny haircuts. They had the face paint. They had the shoulder pads with the spikes. And they did all that stuff to stand out. And I'm thinking at the time, I had like no facial hair. And I had short back and sides, and I just wore trunks, and I was just Marty Scale. And I'm like, okay, this is not enough. I've got to try and think of something to really stand out. And that's when I had the hair, grew the beard out, which is now a really common look. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that I kind of brought to wrestling that I don't know if I get credit for, because now I see everyone's got. I'm pretty positive. Someone's going to correct me and say I'm wrong, but I'm pretty positive I was the first guy to have a top knot in wrestling. Someone's going to say no, but I'm pretty sure I popularized it. The same thing with the round glasses. I feel like,
right.
I mean, obviously there was guys, a few guys before me to have that, but like years and years ago, but now you see that all the time as well. So even now I'm always like, okay, damn, like what, like anytime, like I'll come up with stuff and then I'll see other people start doing it, whether it be like the finger snap or like different moves that I do or my entrance, whatever it is. And then I see other people start doing it. And I'm instantly like, right, now I've got to change that thing. It's annoying, but I'm like, I just don't want to be the same as everyone else. Like, why is a promoter going to book me if he's got 20 other guys who can do the same thing? So I'm always looking to, evolve myself, always looking to be different, always looking to stand out. So I would say that to a lot of guys. Pretty much every show I do, every weekend, I'll have a guy ask me, how do I get to the next level? How do I get a break? And a lot of the times, actually, I'm in random countries like South Africa or Qatar, for example, and they'll ask me that, and I'll say, well, listen, it's going to be so hard for you to break out in this country. You got to get, either to the States or over to the UK or Mexico, whatever it might be. You kind of have to chase it because it's probably not going to come to you. But
Right.
other than that, and that actually happened. So I'm going on a tangent here. Years ago, I wrestled in Australia a guy called Mark Davis, who's now part of Aussie Open. I think that he's the New Japan Tag Champs or the Ring of Honor Tag Champs now. And I
I
wrestled
think
him.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had a really good match with him. And afterwards, he asked me, he said, "Oh, have you got any advice on how I can get better or get out there or whatever?" And I said, "Honestly, dude," I said, "I thought you were really good." I said, "The problem is that you're living here in Australia. Like, I can't see too many promoters flying you from Australia." I said, "It's going to be a really good idea for you to either get yourself to the States or to the UK." And at the time, UK wrestling scene was really hot. And he sort of said, "Oh, well, I've got commitments here and, I can't do that. It's not really possible." I said, "Okay, that's cool." I said, "Well, your wrestling's good. So that's all I've got to say. I'm not going to waste my time saying, oh, improve this hip toss or anything."
Right.
Anyway, then about 6 months later, I got an email and it was from him. And he told me, he said, "Oh, ever since you gave me that advice, it's all I've been able to think about. And I'm just letting you know that I'm moving to the UK like next week or whatever it is." And I thought, "Oh, blimey, okay." And I said,
Right.
"Well, okay, well, I'll send a few emails or call a few people, try and get you a few bookings." And I did, got him on a few places. And then, his talent did the talking for himself and he sort of took off. And, next thing I know, a few years later, he's working all over Europe and then he's working for New Japan, working in the States and everything else. So he did it because he chased it. And, like I said, he didn't wait for it to come to him. He went to it. And same thing with him. He found sort of a niche with this tag team, Aussie Open. He found something different. Like, okay, how can I be a unique selling point to promoter? Well, they need tag teams. Like every company needs tag teams. Okay, we're going to be the most badass tag team, whatever it might be. So yeah, that would be my advice because I see so many guys just all doing the same thing. Like if I have to see another Spanish fly on a show or another diamond cutter, the only diamond cutter that means anything in this business is the arcade
Right.
from
Right.
Randy Orton. That's the only one that I see hundreds of them a show. I'm just like, everyone's doing it. Can you
Right.
imagine watching Raw when you're a kid and like everyone's doing the Stone Cold Stunner before Stone Cold does? Come on, like that's not how
Yeah.
wrestling works, So
Right.
that's my advice. Sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there.
I know you're good.
But,
So I know we only have you for like 9 more minutes.
is it that quick already? I can try and stay
yeah.
a little bit longer.
Okay.
But go on.
I mean, if you can, that's great. If you got to go, we understand.
Definitely.
So, Adrian.
I know that it's to me it's amazing seeing somebody who's been around so long stay so fit. Like, what are some tips that you have to stay keep healthy when you're traveling abroad and stuff? Like finding different spots. Like you have a certain diet that you stick to make sure that you're healthy to be able to perform so often going all these different places.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think for me that really helped was it sounds like a lot of work, but I think like counting your calories or at least like vaguely counting your calories, or even if you do it where it's like count your calories, but I don't do all like macros and stuff. I just do okay, I want to keep under this amount of a maintenance amount of calories and then make sure I hit my protein intake for the day. And if you do that for like a week or two, use the app to count your calories, you kind of get a good idea of sort of what everything is and everything else. So sorry, that's been really helpful for me just doing that. So I'm not super strict though. Like I'll have dessert, I'll do everything else. Like I'm not one of those guys that sort of dedicates his whole entire life for it. Because at the end of the day, I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not about to go do a show or anything else. But obviously, I want to look good for when I perform. So I see some guys that just take it so seriously, where they're just so strict with the diet. But then all that ends up happening is it's just too hard to manage. And they just end up going off. They do it for a few weeks, and then they're going to go insane, and they just eat 10 tubs of ice cream. So it's all about balance. And other than that, I just say with working out and stuff, I just say like, just get it in, like we go to a town or whatever. Chances are there's a gym in your hotel. It's probably just a small hotel gym, but you can at least do cardio. You can at least do something. And then, so other than that, so I try and lift really well when I'm home. I'll do jiu-jitsu as well, maybe 3, maybe 4 times a week. And I go on a lot of walks as well, get my steps in. My job is to be an athlete, so I have no excuse. And I think if you want to make it in this business, then you've got to take that stuff seriously, So, and that's one of the things you can control. There's a lot of stuff you can control in wrestling, but the few things you can control your gimmick. I mean, I get less you're in WWE, I guess, but like control your look, control your music, control your promos. But yeah, you can control your physique. So why would you not want to do the best of it, So I don't think that's something that you should kind of slack on. And trust me, I know a lot of times I want to. And then today I went to the gym and I wanted to train legs and it was just so busy and I couldn't get on anything. But, just had to kind of grind myself through it. But yeah, and honestly, on the road these days, it's really not that hard to not eat bad. You can go to Waffle House and I'll get steamed hash browns and chicken breast and egg whites or whatever else. It's not impossible to do.
All right. Okay. So I'm gonna make you think on this one. So in your whole entire wrestling career, is there one moment that when you decide to hang it up, you will never forget?
Ooh. Yes, I am going to think of that. I mean, there's a lot. There's definitely a lot. I think one of the ones where I got a really overwhelming feeling, which, like I said, I've been very fortunate to wrestle in a lot of big shows. But when I won the Battle of Los Angeles was it 2006 or 2015, 2016? I just remember being in the ring and just, the crowd's going nuts and everyone's standing up and kind of giving me my flowers. And I just had like such an overwhelmed sort of sensation and feeling. Just feeling really just, on top of the world and just really overwhelmed. And yeah, that's just a show, the show is only in front of 400 or 500 people packed into that little building, which unfortunately is not there anymore. But for me, it was a case of, okay, I wanted to be the best wrestler in the world, Maybe I'm not like jacked and massive like Brock Lesnar or anything, but the style of wrestling that I like and everything else, I want to be the best at that. And then I go to something like PWG, the Battle of Los Angeles, which is legit the best talents in the world. And you've got guys like Adam Cole and Cody Rhodes and Jushin Thunder Liger and Zack Sabre Jr., Aleister Black, all these top guys. I mean, there's loads I'm missing out. Chris Hero, all these guys are just absolutely phenomenal. And to get the nod to be the winner of the tournament was just, it felt pretty cool. Because like I said, you look at that lineup and it's just completely stacked. It's just a who's who of like the best wrestlers in the world. And I got to come out as victorious. Yeah, I remember in the ring just being very emotional and just like, oh, wow, okay, I did it, So that would definitely live on in my memory for a very long time.
Nice. We'll do one more question and then we'll let you have the floor to kind of get yourself over and then.
Sounds good.
So I know you kind of touched on gimmicks and stuff like that, and I like the concept. I really thought it was a really neat idea, the whole villain club thing. I think that is phenomenal. What was the thought process behind it? Because call yourself you're the villain, so I think that was pretty cool.
I mean, it's a pretty long-winded answer. How like I get asked that a lot, kind of like, how did you come up with the villain thing? But it wasn't just like one day I just came up with everything and just put it on paper. And I was like, this is it, and this is me, and then it was like, boom, that was the villain. It was something that evolved and something like I'm a big believer in. Like I said, I always want to be different, so I knew I had to be different, but I wasn't exactly sure how to get there. So I just started trying different stuff, just throwing crap at the wall and some stuff
See what
worked,
sticks. Yeah.
and some stuff didn't. But I was never afraid to try. So
Right.
I would just constantly do that, and I would do things. And like, for example, the first time I came out to the ring with an umbrella, I think people thought it was stupid. But then the next week, someone was tweeting at me saying, "Oh, I can't wait to see Mike Skull in his umbrella." I'm like, "Okay, that seems to be working," you know.
Right.
Or the mask that I wear, I was only planning on wearing it for like one Pacific entrance. Like it was a big show. I was like, "Oh, I'll do like a kind of big entrance for this," and I was like, "Oh, I'll have this outfit." But then I wore that, and that got a really good reaction, and people were, really putting that over. So, okay, so maybe I'll stick to this. So, and I'm always just looking. I'm always watching old wrestling. I'm always watching movies and everything else for different influences, and just taking a little bit from that and taking a little bit from here. So, all that stuff, and I guess what I found out over the years is that people seem to like the villain, like people love the villains, and you put a
Yes.
t-shirt with Villain Club on it, people want to be a part of it, people,
Right. Right.
people love the bad guys, and I'm the ultimate villain, the ultimate bad guy. So I managed to find a niche in with that. So, but like I said, it's not something that just I came up with overnight. I've just it's like years and years of trial and error and trying stuff, and that's why I'm sort of sending out a challenge to the wrestlers today to kind of think different and go out there and try. Don't, like, I know if I do a Canadian Destroyer, I can do one. It will get a pop, but like, where's the art in that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you haven't
Right.
created anything. You haven't come up with something. I would rather try something that's never been done before with the risk of it falling flat on its ass. But the chance that it might, elicit a new reaction from the crowd or capture people's imagination, I'd rather attempt that than just kind of do the same old thing. So yeah, I'm big into that. And like I said, many times you do things it doesn't work, but it's okay. I'll try again next time. So
Right.
but
Right.
yeah,
I think a lot of people are afraid to fail when it comes to coming up with ideas and gimmicks because you find something like you said, your idea was an evolution over time. And it
yes,
became
yeah.
this thing, and that's important because you kept trying, like you said, you kept working on something that like, oh, this works, this didn't work, this works. And I think you get a lot of guys today, especially a lot of new guys who come in and they think immediately, if this idea doesn't work, if this gimmick doesn't work, I'm done.
Oh, absolutely. And dude, I'll tell you this, like when I first became the villain, I was trying to come up with a finish. At the time I was like, I want to come up with the most boring finisher and try and get it over. That's my challenge to myself, So I decided to do the crossface chicken wing. Obviously Bob Backlund did it before, and I also remember Norman Smiley doing it, and also remember Sean Waltman doing it a little bit in WCW.
Right.
I was a big fan of his. So I was like, I'm going to try and get this finish over. And there was many a times for the whole first year or so of trying to do that, trying to get it over, where I'd just do it in front of complete silence, and I would scream chicken wing, and everyone would be like, "What?" And that was it, But then keep at it. Fast forward to years later, I'm at a sold out Madison Square Garden, or I'm all in, or whatever it might be, and I go for the move, and the whole 20,000 people, whatever it might be, screaming chicken wing at the same time. I was like, okay, boom, that was worth it. That was worth those sort of a good year of no reaction to kind of get this, So, so I felt like I kind of completed my challenge. Like, okay, let's take the most boring move and try and get it over. And that's what you can do if you try stuff, And like I said, not all the stuff I've tried has been as successful as that. But it's all about the commitment and just daring to be different. And I think it goes a long way. And I think people really appreciate it in the long run.
Definitely. All right, Marty, I would like to give you this time to kind of get yourself over. What shows or towns or places you're going to be?
I'm going to have to look at my diary. So here's the thing. I have all these dates down in my phone, but I'm not 100% sure what has been announced yet and not.
Oh, okay.
I guess the most important one is obviously September 9th, CCW in Harrisburg, PA, of course.
Right.
I saw your video at the start of the show. I'll be there, and so will Flip Gordon, I believe Enzo, and everything else. I did my first show for CCW about a month or two ago. Had a really good time. really fun show, and I think everyone that came out really enjoyed it. So if anyone's listening and they're from the PA area, I would definitely recommend getting yourself down to CCW. Sure, Mr. Rob Noxious will appreciate my plug for his show. So other than that, like next week I'm in Canada. These dates, there's loads of dates, so they're all on my Instagram. And then the week after that, I'll be doing a signing at Wrestle Universe on August 19th in Queens. August 20th, I'll be at Wrestle Bash in New Jersey. Then the weekend after, August 26th, I'll be in Arizona for Arizona Wrestling Federation. And then the week after that, I actually have a very big show, which has not been announced yet. So keep your eye on my Instagram. I'm all over the place. Every weekend I'm wrestling somewhere. So hopefully I'm wrestling in a town near you. If I do have to plug stuff, I guess I'll do it. I obviously have the podcast now, Chilling with the Villain. So you can find it at thevillainpod.com or wherever you find your podcast. You know, after the first week or so, we weren't showing up on Apple search or the Apple podcast search, which is really frustrating, but we are now. So you type us in with the first thing that comes up. So that is great. So we're doing that every single week. If you're a wrestling fan, there's no reason why you shouldn't enjoy it. And obviously what comes with that is all this social media, which I've kind of been handling as well. It's a lot of work. So at the Villain Pod on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, follow all that stuff. Myself, Marty Skell, at Instagram. What else do I do? I have my online store, martyscale.bigcartel.com, which you can get yourself all cool villain merchandise. That would be very nice. If you want to help support me, I would really appreciate it, because, you know, I've got to put all my money now into all this podcast equipment and everything else. So give me a hand. I would much appreciate it. But no, just, you know, for any people watching, if you haven't never seen me before and this is the first time you're watching me, then hopefully I've done a good enough performance for you to check me out. And if you're a fan of mine and you support me, then I just want to say I really appreciate it, because I wouldn't have been able to do anything. None of this is possible without you guys. You know, like, I've been able to live my dream. I was a 5-year-old boy and I told my mother I want to be a professional wrestler, and everyone kind of laughed and giggled. And, you know, all these years later, here I am, managed to have a really amazing career. But like I said, none of it happens if it's not for the fans. I am obviously biased, but I believe I have the best fans in the world. They just, like, my fans are just so awesome, and I just appreciate and love every single one of them. So if you're watching, I love you, and I hope I get to see you all very soon. So check out those dates on my Instagram. Come say hi. I would really appreciate it. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for having me. I'm sorry.
Thank you for coming on.
But next time I've got to plug something, I'll come on, shall I?
All right. Sounds
Awesome.
good. All right. Marty, you're going to get covered up here for a second.
Oh, no.
This weekend, PCWA in Schuylkill Haven, PA, where I take on Rob Noxious and Joey P. Front row is sold out. If you guys need tickets, hit us one of us up. Next on the schedule is Friday, August 18th in Lewistown, PA, where Jack Vaughn will be in attendance and I think in action. If you guys need tickets for that, again, hit us up. And again, the next night, August 19th in Lebanon, PA. And then the biggest show, September 9th at the old Bishop McDevitt High School. Tickets are on sale. Front row is sold out. So if you guys need tickets, we got second row. But again, if you guys need info on that, hit us up and we'll definitely get you guys that info. Marty, thank you again for being on. It was amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. And say hi to Rob for me as well, please.
Oh, definitely.
Keep doing what you're doing, guys. I think it's great that you're both doing something here, that you're creating. You know, my motto in life is create, not hate. So you guys are doing something this podcast, and I think that's awesome. So I encourage you and support you fully. And yeah, I'll come back on at some point, because I think what you're doing is great.
Definitely. Remember, guys, check out Chilling with the Villain podcast too. He's doing great stuff over there.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yep.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Live Saturday, September 9th. Classic Championship Wrestling, Valor Pro Wrestling, Seven Mountains Wrestling, and Pennsylvania Championship Wrestling Alliance United presents Battle at the Bridge. and the old Bishop McDivitt High School, 2200 Market Street, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The special guest, Enzo, Marty Skrull, Flip Gordon. Front row is already completely sold out. The second row is $20. General admission just $10. Meet and greet is at 5 p.m. Bell time is 6 p.m. For tickets, 717-379-4599 or 570-933-0370. You can also pick them up at the bridge at 2200 Market Street, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. You don't want to miss the hottest territory in Pennsylvania. United!